we have to talk about an unfortunate situation that snowballed into a costly conundrum that cost a passenger of a would-be Royal Caribbean ship $6,000. Well, technically, 5,500 to be exact. Now, I am going to go over all the details because while Royal Caribbean in this situation was the catalyst, the mistake was on the passenger and the passenger alone. We'll go over all the little giblets and details so that you don't make this same mistake. Of course, before we dive into this pocket-draining story, I have a quick announcement for all of you. So the other day, for the first time ever, I sat down and counted all the cruises that I have sailed on since I started cruising as a passenger just 2 years ago. Well, 1 year and 10 months to be exact, and I come to find out that at age 30, I've officially sailed on 30 cruise ships as I disembarked the Carnival Luminosa just last week. But it gets even crazier. Right now, I'm in Tampa getting ready to head to New York to jump on the highly anticipated Carnival Venezia. It's their Italian hybrid ship, and well, my first cruise ever as a passenger was the Carnival Mardi Gras. The Carnival Venezia is also docked at Pier 88. Pier 88 just so happens to be the port in which I was sailing out of whenever I worked for Norwegian on board the Norwegian Escape 4 years ago. But it gets even crazier. This ship itinerary just happens to be heading to Bermuda. Back when I worked for Norwegian, before all of this YouTube stuff, the Norwegian Escape headed over to Bermuda as well. It's kind of nerdy, but things just kind of go in full circle for me. I think it's just pretty cool. So over the past 6 months or so, unfortunately, Royal Caribbean hasn't exactly been giving some of their passengers the royal treatment, as they have been overbooking a lot of their ships on multiple occasions, primarily the world's largest cruise ship at this point in time, Wonder of the Seas. On 3 separate occasions, that ship itself has been overbooked. Whenever there is an overbooking, similar to like an airline, what they'll do is intentionally overbook those seats. That way, in the event that there are people that unfortunately have to cancel or there is a last-minute emergency or something of that nature, they have a contingency plan in place. That contingency plan, of course, comes in the form of additional passengers, all of you fine folks, in hopes that they could fill up the ship to its entirety and leave no empty spaces. That way they can, of course, make more money. Understandable. However, things don't exactly always go according to plan like we've seen over the past 6 months with Royal Caribbean. You have a bunch of passengers that get the notification maybe a week or sometimes even 48 hours prior to their cruise that the ship has been overbooked and oversold, and they are given options in which they can either take a refund or they can take some type of future cruise credit or some type of bonus in order to, well, get them off of the ship in a smooth manner in which everybody is mutually happy. But when that does not happen and nobody budges because they want to sail on that specific ship on that specific date with that specific itinerary because they planned for it, now the cruise line has to make some forceful choices. By that I mean forcefully kick people off that may or may not have wanted to get off in the first place. And this is where the problem is for a woman by the name of Diane Gainey. Diane Gainey had planned on gaining access to a cruise out of Tokyo with her family of 3 on board the Celebrity Millennium cruise ship. Now, just so we're clear here, for those of you that don't know, Celebrity and Royal Caribbean are all part of a group known as Royal Caribbean Group. So when I mention Royal Caribbean, understand that Celebrity is also tied into the concoction. This woman was unfortunately put off of the ship, or at least off the manifest, because she never made it on board, and told that she had to take 2 options. She can either get a full refund as well as some future cruise credit, or she can go ahead and get a little bit of knickknacks and some cool stuff and decide to take a cruise at a later date sometime next year. And well, the thing is, just like many people, she didn't exactly have that time planned out because most people are working a normal job, a 9 to 5, if you will, in which they have limited vacation time and they have to be very selective about it. And I'm going to elaborate on more of that in a second here. But the big problem here was that she paid $6,000 for the flight. And she didn't book with the cruise line, and her flights were also not refundable, and they were also not transferable. Now, just to add a little bit more context here, this situation took place in late May. Diane herself is 78 years old. She paid $8,000 for the cruise for her and her 2 family members. I'm assuming maybe it could be a brother-in-law or a cousin or a sister or grandkids. I don't know. However, the fact that she's 78, maybe she has a little bit more room to kind of play with as far as the options. Maybe she can transfer to next year. And well, Celebrity even offered them a $500 voucher for the flight to hopefully kind of ease their frustrations. But $500 in the grand scheme of things, when we're talking about a $6,000 flight as well as a $8,000 cruise, Well, it's a stressful situation I could imagine for Diane. So here's the takeaway or the life lesson from this unfortunate tragedy that, of course, we could all learn from and not end up, well, potentially losing $6,000. As most of you know, I travel quite a bit. I travel domestically, and even more so, I do a lot of international trips, primarily back and forth between the United States and Europe. And my rule of thumb is if I'm paying more than $500 for a flight, I'm going to get the insurance, or if they have a flexible option or a transferable option, I'm going to opt into that because I'd rather have that type of situation in which I can have options should there be a problem or something go wrong or I miss my cruise ship than to be just kind of, well, left out in the dust and just essentially lose that money. Obviously, just like life, these situations can be random and extremely unpredictable, so we have to prepare ourselves the best way that we can. I always say that there is no such thing as a professional traveler. A lot of people like to call me that. I say, heck no. For those of you out there that have traveled extensively, you know damn well it doesn't matter how well you plan, how much money you spend, something can go wrong, and usually, whether it be something small or large, there is usually some kind of issue when it comes to traveling, especially when you're traveling internationally or taking a big trip. Everything does not go according to plan. So you should plan for things to potentially fail. And I don't mean it in a negative way, but just kind of cover all of the bases as much as possible. Now, when it comes to Royal Caribbean slash Celebrity, Royal Caribbean Group, they got to tighten up. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm on Icon of the Seas next year, and I paid $7,000 for my balcony stateroom, just a balcony. Now, given, I'm assuming it's going to be absolutely amazing, and, well, I wouldn't even say paid yet. I gotta make my final payment in October. But still, it's a lot of cheddar to be just kind of throwing around to get a letter and hear that the ship has been oversold or overbooked, and now I got to deal with a similar situation. Keep in mind, I did book in January as soon as it all opened up. But either way, I'm getting sidetracked here. My point is, Royal Caribbean, you got to figure out a system. Royal Caribbean, I tell people all the time, is technically my favorite line. Why? Because I do believe Royal Caribbean is usually a very well-oiled machine. From the app to their private island to everything on board. I'm not a huge fan of the suburban mall vibe, but all the amenities and festivities, the skydiving simulator, iFly, the surfing simulator, all that stuff, the shows, everything is usually top-notch, and, well, they definitely got to fix this bug. We live in a digital world now, and if you're going to run an operation like this, such as the cruise ship industry, and have the largest cruise ships in the world, you got to be on point as much as possible. And the fact that this is happening over and over and over again, I think this year alone between Celebrity and Royal Caribbean, it's like the 5th time on their largest ships. I hate to say it, but tighten up. Either way, guys, that's what I got for this video. I actually got to skedaddle here and board my flight. Of course, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Know as usual, I love each and every one of you. Hit that like button on your way out, and, well, I'll see you later. Take it easy.